We're back with episode 10 of Introduction to Mineralogy. So, Nagi is not going to be there. She's got other plans and can't make the hunting expedition. So, she puts Imari in charge and she's like, great. Wait, what? So, this is the first time she's ever was put in charge for a hunting expedition. And the two high schoolers are with her. So, she's like, I hope I don't mess this up. I think this is going to be really cute. I forgot to give a little explanation. So, for this hunt, they are looking for ore based off of a book from the Showa era, which I think is really cool. That it's just not like, ooh, look at these old maps that might have old factories or old mine sites. We're looking into old literature to find them. So in the book, it is based off of train tracks. So they have to find the tracks, and then probably scattered around, they'll be able to find the ore that train was transporting. And they do. At first, when I looked at it, I was like, you can't tell me this coal has been sitting here since the Showa era, and that's it. But it's not. It's the actual ore that we were looking for. And Imari states that because when it gets in touch with oxygen, it starts to oxidize and turns black, but on the inside, it's pink. I was like, oh, great. Now, don't ask me how to pronounce what the ore is called. It starts with an M. Leave me alone. I am not a mineralogist, and I don't plan to be. Also, I'm watching this as a sub. I don't even know if it has a dub, so I'm definitely not going to get these ore names right. Because they find another ore that I cannot pronounce that is red, that is the purer version of the pink one that we found. But what was odd to Imari is that it's being used as like ground for the train tracks, and it's like, I don't know why they used it, because now we learned that these types of rocks can be toxic to the ground after it gets connected with water. So it's putting toxins into the ground. So regularly they would not use these as like padding for train tracks. But then we learn again from the end of the book, and I love that we added this, is that they had to. There was no other choice because the padding that was already there had washed away in a storm. So they needed something, and they were like, well, we don't got anything else. Let's do it. And on to episode 11. Now all the girls have to pick their electives, and Ruri is behind. But we ultimately put that to the side until like the end of the episode, probably, to talk about how to formate a rock so you can see it under a telescope. But I can't get into the semantics of that because then we'll be here all day. But the main purpose is that you can find the originator material that made the rock itself. So we're back to Sapphire, and we're going back to the site where we found all of it. And the host mineral is limestone. So they deduced that magma made the limestone get hot, create sapphires, and push it all the way up to the crust surface. But they figured out it was limestone by doing an experiment and depleting it entirely as their own specimen. And it was a tiny, tiny piece. So now they have to keep on digging for limestone again. But Yuri sees that something's not adding up. The sapphires should all be relatively the same size because they were formatted the same, but we have giant ones and tiny middle school ones. So she's like, there must be another source somewhere. And it is in the cliffside. With all this hard work that Rui has put into this, Shogo is shocked. She was like, I thought you didn't like being a researcher. But all this research you've done for these sapphires is showing me a different thing. But between that, she sees a paper slip out of all her research papers, and she decided to do earth science as her elective so she can learn more about rocks, which is super cute. Another thing that I like is that we went back to the folklore about the dragon, which we now know that the olden time people were mistaken for sapphire rocks of their bones. And they're like, oh, this is probably why they thought that, because it's in the cliffside going in like a dragon-like shape. I like that when a story goes back to stuff that they've shown me before. I like it a lot. Instead of being like, oh, we did that an episode ago, forget about it.